Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering Ecclesiastes chapters 9 through 12.
And we're finishing Ecclesiastes today. That is the end of Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, and you know what? I have enjoyed Ecclesiastes so far.
Sad that it's so short.
Yeah, I know that Landon has his hang-ups with Ecclesiastes.
Yes, he does.
I used to hang out with the Goths. They're hilarious. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, it's a fun. It's kind of like the Big Lebowski's novelists. Yeah.
Oh yes, those guys are great.
Yeah.
So glad we are finishing this, and then we're starting Song of Songs.
Song of Solomon.
Song of Songs.
Song of Solomon.
Is yours? Okay. So I guess that's the same one. All right. Well, we got that afterwards, and it is probably only going to take us 2 weeks to do that one. So really not too much.
Right. You know, there's a lot of really short books after the Torah and the Deuteronomistic history.
Yeah. So after, we're done with this, we're getting into prophetic literature.
Mm-hmm. Isaiah is going to be the
I wonder if the Bible has an intended length, and they're like, we need to add more scrolls.
Well, I mean, so the initial thing is, so in antiquity, the number of books that made up canon were, at least for the Jews, were equivalent to the number of letters in their alphabet. So depending on the time, it was either 22 or 24.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, the Jewish gematria, like in the Hebrew, there's a lot of mystical associations with it. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of those are either because of their placement, if it's one for letter in the canon, or that the placement in the canon was influenced by that. It really depends on which happened first.
See, people from the canon lists that we have, I don't know how many exclusively Jewish canon lists we have, but at least for the Christian ones, it was all in mixed up orders, basically. Usually the Torah came first for everybody in the list.
Yeah, and that's weird because with the gematria, it's very direct. Right, you don't mix up your gematria.
Yeah, but for at least for Christian canon lists, it's all over the place, especially after the Torah.
Well, I wonder,
and it doesn't denote any kind of importance by itself.
Yeah, it's bizarre, really. I don't know. Maybe they even added things until they solidified it so as to impart new messages. Because we do feel like things are dated weird, and even like Proverbs. So they like add, and well, not Proverbs, but Psalms. Sorry. Yeah, Psalms felt weird that way. Maybe we'll feel that there's some weird dating with these scrolls that they're from as well.
Yeah, and some of them are just hard to date because they contain so little textual clues.
And they're short.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things. Like if there was more stuff in there, maybe we'd be able to tell.
Well, I wonder, because I know that by the time of the Quran, there were things that were being transferred through pamphlets and parchment, rather than on scrolls. I wonder if any of these shorter works were pamphlets.
Yeah, they had. They definitely had codices already, and they would. It was just a way better way of transferring these things than scrolls. I guess scrolls kind of fell out of style.
Of course, they're bulky. I mean, they're cool looking.
Yeah.
But
they're pretty easy to store.
Yeah, but with books, you can just open up right to the page.
Yeah, they're even easier to store.
Well, when you're working with a Torah scroll in a temple, like you don't even touch it, right? Because, you can smudge things if you're just going along. And I gather that was probably a problem for a lot of these old scrolls, where you can't afford, if you're just a common scribe, maybe you don't have a fancy pointer stick when you're learning how to read and write. Anyways, anything you want to say about Ecclesiastes 9 through 12 before we get into it?
No, I do not. We can honestly just hop into it.
All right. Well, hey, everyone, we've got Baal here.
Yes,
And
we do. Our good friend Baal.
Yeah, if you donate to Baal, where you have a $666 donation drive, we're about $50 in. And once we hit 666, we're going to get an e-meter, like Scientology. We're going to read our thetans. We're going to see who's the most clear. We're going to take it apart. We're going to tell you all about Scientology.
And we're going to try to manipulate it, see what we can do.
Yep.
Yes,
So
we're going to do some
fudge
science.
the stats.
Well, without further ado, then, I have the King James Version of the Bible.
I have the English Standard Version of the Bible.
We also have the Hebrew Bible, a translation with commentary by Robert Alter.
And we have Erdman's commentary on the Bible.
As well as the Holy Scriptures according to some Jews and the New King James Version of the Bible.
Yeah, we also have, Oxford Companion to the Bible and some stuff we're not using.
Yep.
That's what we got. But let's
hop
get into
it.
the reading.
Chapter 9. For all this I considered in my heart, even to declare all this, that the righteous and the wise and their works are in the hand of God. No man knoweth either love or hatred by all that is before them.
So the note here that Alter has on in the hands of God, though the formulation may sound unexceptionally pious.
Is it a plural form in Alter's translation?
Well, no, in
the hands, or is it hand?
I have are in God's hand.
Yeah, it's singular, hand.
Though the formulation may sound unexceptionally pious, what is expressed is a sense of fatalism. Even the wise and the righteous do not control their own destinies.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Well, it might not be fatalism in real life.
Sure.
But yeah, people don't control the things that happen to them. So you can be doing all the right things and then one day just get, hit by a stray bullet or something. Nothing can be done.
Could happen.
Yep. All things come alike to all. There is one event to the righteous and to the wicked, to the good and to the clean and to the unclean. To him that sacrificeth, and to him that sacrificeth not. As is the good, so is the sinner, and he that sweareth as he that feareth an oath. So more of this, like, it really doesn't matter which boat you're in.
Yeah.
Right? We're all in the same boat. There is an evil among all things that are done under the sun, that there is one event unto all. Yea, also the heart of the sons of men is full of evil, and madness is in their heart while they live. To him that is joined to all the living. No, I skipped something. Madness is in their heart while they live, and after that they go to the dead. For to him that is joined to all the living there is hope, for a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything, neither have they any more a reward, for the memory of them is forgotten.
Yeah, so the reference to the dog there. So dogs in ancient Israel were scavengers, not pets, and hence were despised.
Yeah, and that's common to a lot of Middle Eastern traditions.
Yeah.
I guess.
And in fact, even in ancient Persia, they would pretty much they would pretty much send old people off to die once they hit 70.
And then
let
the dogs.
Yep, the dogs would eat them.
Wow. Wonderful.
Mr. Burns wasn't kidding. Said, from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I think
those dogs.
Okay.
They're terrifying.
I think that the preceding section here was a lot like that poem that occurred earlier, like time to live, time to die. And
Oh,
so on.
sure, yeah.
I think he likes, or she, or whoever likes that literary form. Also, their love and their hatred and their envy is now perished. neither have they any more a portion forever in anything that is done under the sun. Go thy way, eat thy bread with joy, and drink thy wine with a merry heart. For God now accepteth thy works. Let thy garments be always white.
It's kind of weird how it went from the whole very nihilistic sense of it doesn't really matter what you do, and then it hops into this like enjoy your life kind of thing, which is, I get that. Yes, absolutely. But the transition is, well, there was really none.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also like a completely different literary form.
Yeah.
Let thy garments be always white, and let thy head lack no ointment. Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of the life of thy vanity, which he hath given thee under the sun, all the days of thy vanity. For that is thy portion in this life, and in thy labor which thou takest under the sun.
So that's pretty much what you get. So
Yep.
Enjoy it.
You get a wife, enjoy her. That's what she's there for. She was made for that purpose. Ugh. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. I agree.
Yes, and that's how you win the game. You wait for the right time for the chance to do something. If you want to win, that's what you got to do. You don't have to play any other way. Don't listen to people about that, because it's all lies otherwise. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so there is a textual note here for Alter has for a time of mishap will befall them all. The Hebrew etupega, literally time and mishap, is all likelihood I don't even know what this word is. Hendiatus? Never even heard of that. Hence the translation.
Dyad so it's something to do with a dyad?
Maybe. Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, that would make sense. The phrase is probably in oblique reference to death. Kohelet is not saying that the fastest runner will lose the race or the mighty warrior will be defeated in battle, but rather that all human triumphs are temporary and therefore illusory, for death obliterates everything.
Well, when they talk about, like, people who are intelligent not getting their just desserts, right? That definitely happens. I've met brilliant people who, like, I mean, literally the smartest person that I ever met got rejected from every single PhD program that she applied to after her master's. And I've seen some of the PhDs that come out of those programs, and they're not as smart as that person was.
Yeah.
So, it really is all up to chance and timing. Anyways, for man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them.
Yeah, so again, we've kind of returned to the whole idea of you don't know what's coming to you.
Mm-hmm. The wisdom have I seen also under the sun, and it seemed great unto me. There was a little city, and few men within it, and there came a great king against it, and besieged it, and built great bulwarks against it.
So now we're getting, I guess kind of like an example here. There was a little town. That's what Alter has. The features of this miniature narrative suggest that it is a hypothetical case rather than a historical anecdote. Sure. The whole story is a dialectic challenge to the celebration of wisdom in the preceding verse, because it illustrates that if wisdom does not come from a prestigious source, it is liable to be ignored or forgotten.
Mm-hmm. Coffee.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could just say that.
Yeah. Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
Thanks,
so
Chris.
Yeah, Chris, our secretary, he's running coffee for Ruben here.
Watch him come back with like a whole like cappuccino done up.
With like a little heart inside.
Yeah. One of those or like
Chris, if you don't do that, you're fired.
Yeah. We'll stop paying you all that money that you get. Thank you.
When I stop doing this for free and you stop using my mugs and my coffee, maybe then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hypothetical situation here.
Yeah. Anyways, where was I? I was on verse 15.
15, I think, yeah.
I wanted to point this out earlier because I don't know when I'm going to get the chance to otherwise. This under the sun phrase.
Yeah.
When he's like, this also have I seen under the sun. It reminds me almost like in Enoch when they have those continual phrases popping up that demonstrate that it's supposed to be like a certain genre of apocalyptic literature, right?
Sure. I mean, yes, I think so. Although I don't know if this would go. I mean, this definitely does go towards genre because the whole phrase "under the sun."
Like it gives the image of someone who's standing up above and looking down and seeing these things. Like when you say,
well, maybe
I've
a little
seen
bit.
this under the sun, it kind of implies like, okay, you're aware of what's happening under the sun. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but I think it's going more towards the, kind of from everything that has ever happened.
Mhm.
This is kind of just the way it is.
Yeah. But like linguistically, it has a similar feeling to that. I'm not sure how to describe it.
Yeah.
Lofty.
Yeah. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no man remembered that same poor man. Then said I, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. The words of wise men are heard in quiet more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroyeth much good.
So yet a single offender destroys much good. This is another observation about the precariousness of the efficacy of wisdom.
Trevor from Grand Theft Auto 5, he's one guy, right?
Yeah.
And what can he do as
Everything.
a sinner? He could do whatever he wants. Yeah. There you go.
Wisdom,
Feel trouble.
Wisdom may be more powerful than even the best of weapons, but a single reckless or irresponsible person can do great damage over which the calculations of wisdom have no control. Which, makes sense. Sometimes, stupid people do really stupid things, and it causes a lot of damage. So I guess while wisdom is strong in a sense, it's also fragile.
Fragile in that sense, yeah.
There was like that story, I forget where it was. I think it was in Judges, maybe? That one where the guy's on the donkey and then he gets hit by the tree and gets stuck in the tree and then someone...
Oh, no, that was... that was Absalom.
Yeah, that was Absalom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was running away.
Yeah. That's an example of like one mistake really screwing you over. Anyways, that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, pretty short chapter. All the chapters are fairly short, honestly.
Yeah, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like. See 12 people watching. I expect to see 12 likes. You know what I noticed is that there's one person, I think, who goes on all of our videos and gives us one dislike.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you got to
Thank
dislike
you.
her.
Thank you, person.
I really... But I wonder if it's the same person. If they're like one of our viewers who's here every time and just dislikes us.
Hey, maybe that's totally fine.
They want more of the other content, I guess.
Or they just don't like us at all. And you know what? That's fine too.
All right.
Thanks for subbing so you could tell us that.
All right.
Eerdmans.
Oh, you don't really need
There's
Eerdmans.
nothing in there? Okay.
No. We won't need that until the very end.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, chapter 10. Dead flies make the perfumer's ointment give off a stench.
The Hebrew Zevuve Mawet seems to say flies of death.
Oh.
But if one moves the final yod at the end of the word to the beginning of the second word, the consonantal text reads Zevuv Yamut, literally a fly that dies, the single fly that spoils the ointment.
Which would make more sense than the fly of, like a fly of death. What is that? There have
murder hornets?
Murder hornets, yeah. There were some polemical renderings of the name of Baal, I think, about it being like Lord of the Flies, basically. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that's a reference to that at all, honestly. But
need inference.
Yeah.
Either way. So a little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. A wise man's heart inclines him to the right, but a fool man's heart to the left. Ooh. Political sentiment there.
The Hebrew is literally heart, thought to be the seat of understanding, but the context puts an emphasis on cognition, not feeling, and one must avoid the comic error of Moliere's physician, despite himself, who places the heart on the right side. What?
I have no idea. I don't know who Moliere's physician is. Like a reference to like a character. Might even be
like a paradox, or like a conundrum. I feel like I've heard of it as like a riddle, maybe even.
Yeah, I have no idea. Even when the fool walks on the road, he lacks sense, and he says to everyone that he is a fool. Hey, guys, I'm a fool.
All right, fool. What was that thing called? I'm gonna look it up again.
I'm a fool.
No, the thing you just mentioned.
Oh yeah, Moliere's physician or something.
Yeah, Moliere's physician.
Oh, okay, well, how do you spell Moliere?
Molie with the little thing on top.
Okay.
RE.
All right. Well, I'm sure you can find it.
Yeah.
If the anger of the ruler rises against you, do not leave your place, for calmness will lay great offenses to rest. For calmness will lay great offenses to rest. Okay.
What?
Gotcha.
Verses. Okay. That's verse 4.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
There is an evil that I have seen under the sun, as it were an error proceeding from the ruler.
So Alter says a true error. He says true is added because the particle kaf before the noun is an indication of emphasis, not, as it is more commonly, of comparison.
Yeah, so then the sentence isn't actually over. So yeah, error proceeding from the ruler. Folly is set in many high places, and the rich sit in a low place. So I'm guessing here high place is not, I don't know if it's the same word that's being used. Is there a textual note there? Because it could just mean literally a high place, like
folly is set on great heights, and the rich dwell down below.
Okay,
it says this opposition, especially because of the second term, reflects Kohelet's social conservatism. He accepts established hierarchies and thinks something is out of joint if the foolish or the lowly are on top and the wise or the rich are on the bottom. A similar sentiment is expressed in the next verse in his dismay over slaves mounted on horseback.
I have seen slaves on horses and princes walking on the ground like slaves.
Oh, no.
Walking on the ground. Horrible. Just horrible. Can't be doing that. Stop that right now.
How dare those slaves ride horses? Like, Really?
I mean, I get the point that he's trying to get across, but yeah, it's based on not so good stuff. He who digs a pit will fall into it, and a serpent will bite him who breaks through a wall.
This maximum...
I'm guessing snakes and walls, that's where they stayed a lot?
It says a snake will bite him. It says this maxim is purely prudential, much like what one finds in the book of Proverbs. You have to be careful of the consequences of your actions. The walls were built of piled up stones without mortar, so it was easy to make a small breach in which a snake could hide.
Yeah, sounds about right.
That makes sense. Chris, you've set up walls before, haven't you?
I've set them up and I've knocked them down.
Yeah.
Did they get back up again?
20 times minimum.
Did they get back up again?
I've had to put them back up, but technically,
right.
Yes.
Great.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, but when you're setting up a stack of stones without mortar, how easy is it for snakes to get in there?
Are you stupid?
Is it just like stupid easy?
No, I mean like if the person's dumb, then they leave lots of gaps. But if you know how to play Jenga, then you don't. I guess it's
Jenga,
like 3D.
Tetris. What a game!
Yeah, both Jenga and Tetris work for this because it does fall over if you don't know how to do it, and it's also like stacking in Tetris. So both games work actually. That's how I felt like that job was. It was Jenga with Tetris.
Okay.
I don't think I'd feel safe in a house that's just stacked up stones without anything holding them together or sealing the gaps.
Interestingly enough, there are places like Machu Picchu that still exist that have no mortar or any adhesive holding the rocks together, but they're so well cut that there's like barely enough room for water holes for water to flow through it so that it doesn't like hold the flow back. But
also
nothing can fit in it otherwise, and they're ancient and they're perfectly still there,
All right. Let's continue here. Verse 9. He who quarries stones is hurt by them, and he who splits logs is endangered by them. If the iron is blunt and one does not sharpen the edge, he must use more strength, but wisdom helps one to succeed. Or you could just
the advantage of
the edge.
skill is wisdom. The Hebrew is equally cryptic. Some scholars revocalize haksher, skill, to yield hakasher, the skilled man, which mitigates the difficulty but does not remove it.
Yeah, I think it's basically saying the tool is only as good as it is useful or sharp. The iron probably referring to the pick.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you have wisdom, you can figure it out.
Yeah, you can figure out how to do it without as much strength, basically.
Right. If you have wisdom, you take the right weights out when you go fishing.
Yeah.
If you don't have wisdom, you don't take any weights with you. You just like stick one of those little rubber things on the hook and throw it in. Hope for the best.
If the serpent bites before it is charmed, there is no advantage to the charmer. Yeah. The words of a wise man's mouth.
Wait. Yours just says charmer?
Yeah.
If a snake bites with no snake charm, there is no advantage for the expert of incantations.
Wow.
What a great phrasing.
That's pretty good.
I really like that.
The words of a wise man's mouth win him favor, but the lips of a fool consume him. The beginning of the words of his mouth is foolishness, and the end of his talk is evil madness. So it starts off stupid and then turns malicious.
Okay, so I have this great idea. No, that's how it starts.
A fool multiplies words, though no man knows what is to be, and who can tell him what will be after him. Very strange sentence there.
What verse is that?
That was 14.
Nope. It's just typical Kohelet.
Gotcha.
I guess.
The toil of a fool wearies him, for he does not know the way to the city.
So The fool is so exhausted by his witless efforts that he ends up having no idea where he's headed. Fox cites an Egyptian saying, does not reach the city, that has the sense of does not know where he is going, and the expression here sounds like such a proverbial idiom.
Okay, so this is kind of paralleled with the other verse about, who can tell what will be after him, about where they're going.
The city. There, I used the phrase correctly.
Woe to you, O land, when your king is a child and your princes feast in the morning. There was a king who was a child. Jehu, right?
Yeah, Alter says lackey, not child. He
lackey.
Says, the Hebrew na'ar means lad or youth, but also by extension a servant or anyone in a subordinate position. The opposition to noble in the next verse suggests that the sense of an underling is intended. Once again, Kohelet's attachment to established social hierarchies is evident.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense with this next verse here. Happy are you, O land, when your king is the son of nobility. That makes sense. Parallels, son of nobility should be the king. So, yeah,
or
parallels.
A duke or an earl or a prince or whatever.
And your princes feast at the proper time for strength and not for drunkenness.
You got to consider, actually, what's implied by the king's statement, right? Because there are biblical kings who don't come from royal lineages, right? David doesn't come from a royal lineage. Saul doesn't come from a royal lineage. Now, granted, a lot of people aren't big fans of Saul,
right?
But people are big fans of David.
Yeah, and the place was much happier under David than they were under Saul. People didn't like Saul.
Or Solomon, for that matter. Like when Solomon turns to worshiping the gods of his wives, he starts to lose his wisdom.
Yeah.
And that's disastrous, right? So, really, David was better off being the son of some guy than Solomon was being the son of a king.
Sure. Although he had all the tools. Because God gave him that wisdom.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, through sloth, the roof sinks in, and through indolence, the house leaks. So you got to do something, Chris.
What?
No, I'm kidding. Bread is made for laughter, and wine gladdens life, and money answers everything. Wow.
Money.
Holy shit.
This says, and money keeps everyone busy.
Oh.
The verb here, ya'ana, most commonly means answer in biblical Hebrew. But as several recent commentators have argued, the verbal stem in Kohelet's distinctive vocabulary is associated with business.
Okay.
As in the reiterated noun inyan, which means business. The evident idea here is that people may fling themselves into feasting and drinking, but their overriding preoccupation is money, which, among other uses, pays the bills for the carousing.
Okay. So this is kind of sarcastic. Even in your thoughts, do not curse the king, nor in your bedroom curse the rich, for a bird of the air will carry your voice, or some winged creature tell the matter.
So where it says, even in your thoughts.
Thought crimes.
Yeah.
Alter has even on your couch. The Hebrew noun, mada, generally means knowledge. In modern Hebrew, it is the term for science. Many modern interpreters construe it as thought or mind, an understanding already registered in the King James Version. But if a person is merely thinking nasty thoughts about the king without speaking them, how could the fowl of heavens carry the sound? The parallelism between the two clauses here invites the emendation of mada'aka, your thought, to matza'aka, your couch. Perhaps an emendation is not even necessary, so proposes that the knowing, reflected in the root of the word, is knowing in the sexual sense, which could make this an otherwise unattested term for the place where sexual intimacy is consummated.
That sounds a little out there, honestly.
Maybe.
Don't curse the king while you're fucking.
Yeah.
I don't think they're thinking about that
I
at
don't
all.
know. You're just plowing the land and thinking, fuck the king.
Yeah, plowing the land.
Yeah. Anyways, that is actually the end of chapter 10. We got 2 more chapters to do. But
do you hear something?
Yeah, I think I do. It's a very strange noise that we've never actually heard before. This is completely brand new.
Before. Whoa.
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Holy
Jesus
moly!
Christ! Oh, holy cannoli!
I said holy moly.
I know what you said.
Oof.
Holy poly!
You're jumping straight to cannoli.
I think Jesus did something crazy when he was here. He didn't actually take you away this time, but what he did do was transport this book over here. It was over there before.
Yeah, that's magic. I've never seen something like that under the sun.
There is no possible way it could have gotten here from there without Jesus doing that.
0 into a 1. Incredible. Look at that.
That's awesome.
Chapter 11. Oh my gosh.
Yep. Amazing.
For does it not say in the book of the Proverbs, of the prophecies, of the teachings of the King of the Jews?
Wow, that's real good, Reuben. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's continue the reading. Let's do chapter 11.
Cast thy bread upon the waters, for thou shalt find it after many days. You know, that's a thing on the Day of Atonement that some Jews do, is they throw bread in the water in like a river or something, and it's symbolic of them getting rid of their sins. Right?
Okay.
I'm not sure if that tradition dates back to this time.
Well, there is a note on that first part of the verse there.
Mm-hmm.
So send out your bread upon the waters. These words initiate a series of prudential maxims on how to conduct one's life in the face of unpredictability of events, and their deterministic character that is beyond human control. The sending out of bread on the waters is surely not advice about overseas investments, as some commentators have imagined, but rather a didactic metaphor. The proposal of Rashi, Abraham ibn Ezra, and other medieval commentators that the reference is to acts of charity is perfectly plausible. Perform acts of beneficence, for you never know when you yourself may benefit from having done them. The idea is then continued in the next verse. Be generous to any number of people, for in the course of events, you yourself may end up in need and enjoy a reciprocation of support from one of those you have helped.
All right. Have you ever read Rashi?
No.
Should probably do that. He gets referenced a lot.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read some stuff from Abraham ibn Ezra.
But not Rashi.
No.
Oof. Give a portion to 7 and also to 8. X plus 1.
There it is again.
Yep. For thou knowest not what evil shall be upon the earth. If the clouds be full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. And if the tree fall toward the south or toward the north, in the place where the tree falleth, there it shall be.
Yeah.
He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. Keeping your head in the clouds, kind of. As thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit, nor how the bones do grow in the womb of her that is with child, even so thou knowest not the works of God who maketh all. So is the implication that through modern science we can know the works of God.
Well,
because we do know how like bones are formed in the womb.
Yeah, we do. So there is a note here, into the limbs within the full womb. Because the translation here is a little bit different. As you know not the path of the life breath into the limbs within the full womb, so you know not the deeds of God, who does everything. So the note here is the limbs, atsamim, are the body of the fetus, of course. The Masoretic text reads like the limbs, ka atsamim, but many Hebrew manuscripts, as well as the Targum, have more plausibly ba atsamim, into the limbs. The received text also reads the womb of the full one, that is, the pregnant woman, which could be correct, but a change of the initial vowel from bet to ba yields the full womb and enables the translation to reproduce, good pun there, reproduce, the play on fill in verse 3. This may be the more likely reading because there are no other biblical instances of the full one as a synonym for a pregnant woman.
But it does make sense.
Yeah, but of course at the time they didn't really know how babies form, so...
Right.
Science succeeds!
Yep. In the morning, sow thy seed, and in the evening, withhold not thine hand. For thou knowest not whether shall prosper, either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good.
Okay, so don't make don't burn your bridges, I guess.
Well, you
Wait
don't.
for other options.
Well, I mean, it's like you don't know the outcome of anything that you might do.
Yeah, so...
But it is determined from some fatalism,
Sure.
right? So you don't know. So just do what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, this seems to be a pretty consistent theme.
Yeah.
These are chiller chapters than last time, too.
Mm-hmm.
They've been like, just do what you're doing,
yeah,
man.
I'm feeling chill.
Yeah, just relax, man. It's
Maybe-
all good.
Maybe the
Like, it doesn't matter, but that's okay.
dude got some influence from
Yeah. I mean, it seems almost Epicurean in some parts.
Yeah,
But
little
it's
bit.
also definitely not because he...
Because Epicurus believed in free will.
well, one, Epicurus believed in free will, but two, like, Epicurus' whole point was that you should try to minimize pain because pleasure is just the absence of pain. And Kohelet's like, well, you're going to experience pain anyway, so don't do anything. Anyway.
It's meaningless to try.
Yeah. Truly, the light is sweet, and a pleasant thing it is for the eyes to behold the sun. No.
Behold!
Behold!
The sun.
No, it's not pleasant to stare at the sun. Please do not stare. Anyone who in our audience,
Maybe they're not talking about literally staring at the sun, but please don't literally stare at the sun.
Just talking about daytime looking nice, I think.
Maybe.
I mean, because it's dark.
I'm thinking it's just being like alive and experiencing life.
Yeah,
That's what I'm guessing.
I guess. But if you're out there driving
Because when
while you're listening to this right now, don't stare at the sun.
Yeah, but what I'm... Because, when they say under the sun, they're talking about like in all of, human history and all of life,
Well, it's weird because he like lists off all these things like, oh, there's so much suffering, it's terrible, everything's meaningless, but everything under the sun now is like sweet and pleasant to behold.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty inconsistent if that's what he means by that.
Yeah, because it seemed like, as Colette was writing this, they got a little more optimistic.
Slightly.
They started off with the basic premises of, okay, ultimately everything sucks, but and there's no use in trying to make it any better. But now he's kind of transitioned into, well, make it a little bit better. I guess just have fun, do whatever. I don't fucking care. I'm done writing this.
Well, you gotta wonder
So
also, like,
You're
what
thinking he has this long impassioned rant about how crap everything is and how pointless it all is, but then he's like, I mean, but you can, silver lining kind of, sorry, I didn't mean to rant this long.
Yeah, but
Something like that.
you also have to wonder, like, at this point in time, what the drafting process was like when you're putting together a text like this. So let's assume it comes from one author. Let's assume that it comes from one distinct period of time in which it was first published. Like, I imagine writing materials were harder to get than, like, using Microsoft Word today.
Definitely.
So like, it probably was a lot more difficult to make a consistent book.
Yeah, although I would say that if you were a scribe at this time, if you could read and write at this time, you were intelligent and you were educated at the very least, and you were probably making some money off of it. So I'm guessing that this person had access to a plethora of that sort of stuff.
Right, but like when you're writing a script, you might rewrite a paragraph over and over.
Oh,
again,
sure, yeah.
right? And if you're doing that all by hand,
Yeah, that would
you're
suck.
going to go through a lot.
Yeah, and it would suck.
I know from old, like, archaeological digs that people wrote in sand and stuff first because they could find undisturbed caverns that still have, like, pre-scripting for old text that were in, just etched in sandstone because it's easy to read and write over that. So, like, they used other methods to transcribe when they were or create. Sorry, not transcribe. Write. They were pre-scripting writing stuff.
I'm pretty sure they also had ways of removing the ink.
They did, but it was a pain back then. It
Sure,
was just
I'm
as
sure it
hard
was,
to
yeah.
get ink remover as it would be to get ink and papers or
Well, like
parchment.
on parchment, you see evidence in some cases of, like, they scratch off the ink.
Yeah.
Right? So that's an option, but, like,
Not a good option. If you do it 10 times, you're going to have a really flaky paper with, like, less layers. It'll fall apart. It'll deteriorate quicker.
and if you want to rewrite a whole paragraph, then
You lost. Get a new parchment.
it's really better to just get a new parchment.
Yeah.
Anyways, but if a man live many years and rejoice in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they shall be many. All that cometh is vanity.
Yeah, so recall the days of darkness. It goes from light is sweet to recall the days of darkness. These moving words are another exhortation by Kohelet to enjoy the good things of this fleeting life while we still have it. As Nabokov movingly puts it in the opening sentence of Speak Memory, common sense tells us that our existence is but a crack between two eternities of darkness. That's good, and that's also fair.
Man, that's a cool name for, like, a book or something.
Eternities of darkness. Rejoice, O young man, in thy youth, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth, and walk in the ways of thine heart, and in the sight of thine eyes. But know thou that for all these things God will bring thee into judgment. Therefore, remove sorrow from thy heart, and put away evil from thy flesh, for childhood and youth are vanity. So these are fleeting things, but ultimately you will be held accountable in judgment. Presumably, he read some apocalyptic literature.
Hold on, you had what was the very last part that you had?
Therefore, remove sorrow from thy heart and put away evil from thy flesh, for childhood and youth are vanity.
This one's a little bit different. I have for youth and the time of vigor are mere breath. So there's a note on here that on the time of vigor. As a long exegetical condition assumes, the term shaharut probably derives from shahor, black. That is the time of life when the hair is still black. Others connect the word with sahar,
Thank you, Ellis.
Dawn.
Thank
Oh.
you, Ellis.
$9.99.
Yes, that is going towards our $666 donation drive. Once we hit $666, we will be getting a thetan meter. We're going to be taking on Scientology. We're going to, I don't know, convince Tom Cruise to become an atheist or something.
Oh, man, that would
Tom Cruise.
be fun. Yeah, just him. We don't need the other ones. Who
Yeah.
needs
The
John
rest will
Travolta?
follow.
Oh, yeah, John Travolta,
Yeah.
too.
And then we're going to, you know what, if we get John Travolta, we're going to have him do the
Some Grease Lightning.
an Atheist Sunday School version of Grease Lightning.
Yeah. Like,
No,
what?
we're not doing this now.
No,
Not
we're
right
not
now.
doing this. No.
Don't try. It's going to be bad.
I've got some ideas already bouncing around.
Great. We'll put a pin in that. Anyways, yeah. So others connect the word with sahar, dawn, though the dawn of life would be infancy, not youth. This moment is evanescent, mere breath for the gray hair, and its attendant infirmities will soon come.
So, I mean, the point being that you're only young for so long,
Yeah.
but don't, be an idiot about it.
Yeah. And man, that we are just flying through this. That is the end of chapter 11.
Yeah,
We're
it is.
flying because
If you're
it's 50
enjoying-
minutes in here.
If
Well-
you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, subscribe,
Share it around.
share with all your friends, family, neighbors, countrymen. Lend us their ears.
because you can do that. You can take their ears and lend them to us, and then eventually we will give it back because
Yeah,
that's
right.
how lending works.
Not in a John Wayne Gacy kind of way,
oh,
but
oh, not that way.
no.
Oh.
No.
Well, then I'm not sure how I feel about this. Then.
Oh, shoot.
All right. How about we get to chapter 12 here, the final chapter for the day, and the final chapter of Ecclesiastes.
Yep.
Sad face.
Do you have anything in Eerdmans that I should go over? No, nothing.
No, not really. Honestly.
Close
There-
that thing.
Actually, hold on. There is an allegory of age part here. If you want to read off this section here, yeah, it talks about the first few verses.
Okay. The whole paragraph?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. That time is not on the side of human beings because becomes obvious in that other famous passage in Ecclesiastes, namely the allegory of old age in 12:1-7. Here are described certain forthcoming days of trouble, verse 1, and there is general agreement among interpreters, both in ancient and modern times, that these days of trouble are the days of advancing old age and approaching death, depicted by means of various allegorical descriptions of the state of an old person. There is, however, no agreement on the details of the allegory, with some readers claiming that the approach of death is pictured primarily as an advancing storm. Others seeing it rather in terms of the fall of night, and yet others identifying that main image as the decay of a wealthy estate. There are also readers who disregard the passage, or who regard the passage as dealing not with the decline and death of a representative individual human person, but rather with the general propensity of everything we know to break down and decay.
So just entropy in general, really.
Yeah, there's a little more about this section, but I think Alter's gonna. Oh no, that bent.
Oh, no.
Not my .025 magic card.
Not Consulate Skygate, a defender with reach 04 that costs 2.
Actually, that's not terrible.
That's not awful, but you could always get something better.
You know, I don't care what happens to it. Right?
Colorless.
Yeah, anyways, let's I'm just going to read this chapter here.
No way.
Remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and the years draw near, of which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. before the sun, and the light and the moon, and the stars are darkened, and the clouds return after the rain.
So,
yeah, it sounds like someone dying.
Yes, the days of evil, the sense of evil is not moral but physical when the body begins to fall apart. The clouds come back after the rain. This seeming reversal of the order of nature is an indication of the personal catastrophe of aging. Everything goes dark, and in this ultimate storm, the clouds continue to blanket the sky even after the rain. Perhaps because, in verse 3, the sense of sight is dimmed. As many commentators have noted, there is an affinity between the imagery here and some of the apocalyptic imagery of the prophets.
Which we will be starting very soon.
Yeah, and this next section up until verse 9 in the altar version is set aside as a poem. That is, it's like indented and everything.
In the day when the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men are bent, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those who look through the windows are dimmed, and the doors on the street are shut, when the sound of the grinding is low, and one rises up at the sound of a bird, and all the daughters of song are brought low.
So, on the day that the guards of the house will quake, the book of Kohelet aptly concludes with this haunting and also mystifying poem on the waning of human life and on impending death. The poem abounds in textual difficulties, and some of the references are ambiguous or simply unclear. A tradition of interpretation that goes back to late antiquity reads the poem as an allegory of the deterioration of the body. But, as Fox and others have argued, the allegory, plausible for some of the images, breaks down elsewhere. The literal picture of a house or an estate in decay is eloquent in itself, and rituals of mourning are clearly enacted outside the house. At best, one might say that certain lines, but not others, also invite comparisons with parts of the aging body.
Yeah, the way I visualize this is like a whole Sands of Time kind of feel. Like everyone's, doing their thing, walking around, but then you speed up the playback, I guess, and everyone's like, You see everyone aging in front of you and then turning into dust, like that kind of shit. That's how I see this.
Yeah, there's also this bird bit. The Hebrew phrasing is obscure and has generated highly divergent interpretations. One possible understanding is that the silence that falls as the maids cease their labor of grinding, the sound of a solitary bird, no cheerful songbird, stands out, and the songstresses on their part fall silent and are bowed low. The literal sense of songstresses is daughters of song, which has led some to construe that the phrase as a reference to birds, but that would create a contradiction with the singular sound of the bird.
Yeah, daughters of song. I'm guessing just, musicians. Female musicians.
Well, in Proverbs, they warn against the singing women.
Oh, yes, and the dancing women.
Yeah.
Actually, was there the singing women? I remember the dancing women being something to warn against.
I'm pretty sure that there was something about the musicians. At
well,
some point.
either way, those women doing things that they like to do, damn them. They are afraid also of what is high, and terrors are in the way. The almond tree blossoms, the grasshopper drags itself along, and desire fails. Is it fails? Or am I reading? Yeah, it is fails. Okay.
The allegorizers have exercised strenuous ingenuity on these lines. The almond blossom corresponding to white hair, the sagging locust to an impotent penis, and so forth. It is less strained to read.
I don't think we've gotten to the sagging locust yet.
No, we went right past that.
We
that was the grasshopper.
That was the grasshopper.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's a the grasshopper drags itself along, and there I do have a note here that let's see, where is it? Gotta find it. Oh, actually, the only note is instead of dragging itself along, is a burden.
Mm. It is less strange to read these lines simply as images of the cycle of growth and decay in the nature of man. The most puzzling reference is to the laden locust. Some see this as indicating a plant, not an insect. In fact, a meaning carried by the English word as well. Others detect a reference to the female locust heavy with eggs, after laying which she dies.
Huh, okay.
Perhaps the least strained construction is a locust tree heavy with ripe fruit.
Not to mention almonds are in notorious reference to the fertility of things, almond trees specifically, and that happens in the Bible later, I do recall.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, yeah, the grasshopper drags itself along and desire fails because man is going to his eternal home and the mourners go about the streets. Before the silver cord is snapped, or the golden bowl is broken, or the pitcher is shattered at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern, and the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. All is vanity.
So,
Of course, if this was the translation I brought for the first episode, it would say everything is meaningless.
which is obviously returning to the literal beginning
Yeah.
of the book. I find this interesting. The silver cord and the golden bowl.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really any commentary on here. It says that precious things fall apart like human life. But one would think that those specific things were chosen for a reason.
Yeah. Silver cord, I do believe, is an analogy for the connection of the soul to the body in some literatures, not even necessarily, biblical stuff.
Yeah,
but,
but New
like
Age
Greek
literature also.
Yeah, Middle Ages, yep.
Yeah, well, the New Age literature talks about like out-of-body experiences and being attached by a silver cord to.
Yeah.
Even in Dungeons and Dragons, the spell astral projection requires you to have that silver cord as a material component. And you are attached to one through the spiritual plane or whatever, like your body and your spirit are still connected via a silver cord. If it's ever severed, you just die instantly.
And I wonder if that kind of tradition.
Sever your silver cord.
I wonder
dragons that can do that, astral dragons, they do it for fun.
Well, I wonder if that silver cord tradition, it dates back this far. I don't know.
I don't know because other than this, we haven't seen a reference to anything like that, biblically speaking.
And there's nothing in Eerdmans about it.
Nope. So I doubt it.
Yeah.
Anyways, verse 9. This kind of seems like I'm not sure about the textual history of this, but I guess after reading it, we'll see how we feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
Besides being wise, the preacher also taught the people knowledge, weighing and studying and arranging many proverbs with great care.
So the strong consensus of scholarship is that the verses from here to the end of the text are an epilogue added by an editor, with the aim of bringing Kohelet's radical vision in line with more conventional piety.
Yeah, they tried.
I would think it ended already with those last lines. Like, as we said, so definitely an editor.
It put it up in tied it up in a nice little bow, So, yeah. Later edition, this one. So they're just trying to make him look good. The preacher sought to find words of delight, and uprightly he wrote words of truth. I don't think he really sought that hard to find words of delight. Maybe at the end, maybe he was trying really hard to find something good about this terrible life. Yeah, chasing the wind.
Yeah.
The words of the wise are like goads, and like nails firmly fixed are the collected sayings.
The images suggest that the words of the wise may sting or hurt, which seems especially apt for Kohelet.
Sure, yes. But then they go on to say, they are given by one shepherd.
From the composers of collections given from a certain shepherd. It says... composers of collections. The meaning of the Hebrew is uncertain, but a reference to anthologists or collectors of sayings is plausible in the context. Syntactically, there is an ellipsis here, the sense being the words of the wise from the composers of collections, given from a certain shepherd. Traditionally, this highly obscure phrase is understood as a reference to God from one shepherd. Fox and So both argue convincingly that the simile of the goad leads to a reference to an actual goad-wielding shepherd, and that ahad, one, is used here as it is sometimes used elsewhere as what amounts to an indefinite article. Nevertheless, this phrase is oddly detached from the syntax from the goads and nails.
Yeah, definitely. My son, beware of anything beyond these, of making many books. Of making many books, there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. So it seems here that, I don't know if this person has like received this book and edited it and given over to his son, or if this is another teacher who has received this book and edited it and then is like teaching people, right? Because if you remember, my son or my sons was also used for students.
Right.
It could even be the grandson. We've had that before,
No.
remember?
No. The end of the matter. All has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. So here, I think they're trying really hard to pick out something they liked. So yes, the whole, keeping the commandments, fearing God, yes, that was covered by Kohelet.
It is covered by Kohelet, but Kohelet also stresses at various points throughout the book that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
doesn't seem to say anything good about after death stuff. He's very the void. He doesn't have an afterlife per se.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Which is
express views about
very
the
different.
He does have an afterlife, but it's not.
It's the void.
It's
it's
not
blackness.
It's not a central focus. It's not like you're going to reap a reward in the afterlife, really. It's just like a vague sentiment.
Well, he doesn't say heaven, and he rarely mentions Sheol. So I'd say that that's a bizarre sub-theme of this text. Since we're going over, I guess we're at the end here.
Right,
Pretty much.
Right.
That was-
But he also stresses earlier on in the text that, and I'm sure you remember, where he says that it doesn't matter what they do because they all go to the same place after death. So, there's really no, the little epilogue that they have on the end here makes the apologetic that basically everything is fatalism and that it is the determined course for human beings to obey the words of God and to fear him, right? And so it is best for people to engage with that worship and fear, right?
He's saying basically that that's totally natural to do that, but it's deterministic, and the people who don't in some ways.
I think, I didn't really get. I guess for it is the whole duty of man, because if. I'm not gonna bring in Kant into this or anything, right? But but I feel like the author there the editor or whatever is saying that that's what they ought to do,
right?
Not that it's that's what they should be doing as a person, but they could obviously choose not to.
Right, but we also have this fatalism theme, right?
Yeah, but they're not really acknowledging the fatalism.
I think
theme
he's
at the
trying to
end.
glance over. The editor's trying to glance over that, even though, in my opinion, it's 70% of the text.
Yeah,
is fatalism.
it's probably even more. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So we just have this apologetic at the end. And I noticed that on our first video covering Ecclesiastes, someone commented that we didn't go over the ending part where it says that the whole point is to fear God.
Well,
for one thing.
But the thing is, we did get that a little bit in our first reading.
A little
we
bit.
did cover it.
But moreover, the ending point that I assume that they're referencing, the ending of the book, is literally written by a different person. It's not part of what Kohelet was putting forward.
It'd be really hard to say that it was written by Kohelet, because
Yeah.
it goes into like third person for him, perspective, and it doesn't have his tone or anything. It not even the same messages.
Right.
It's at least diluting his message is what I think it does.
So this is like a later interpretation that
Yeah.
was tacked into the book.
Yeah.
Why though?
Well, you
Because
can
it's
see
the
why.
apology.
I told you.
Yeah. You can see why. Look how nihilistic this book is.
Yeah, but I mean,
But a lot of people accepted it because it's like, hey, you know what? He's making some fair points. Life is kind of shitty. So they're like, okay, fine, we'll accept it, but let's just pretend he didn't say.
Have a footnote here
Exactly.
that emphasizes that we need to be skeptical of what we just read.
Not even
basically.
emphasizes that, but just boils it down to such a point where it's not even saying the same thing he's saying. It said it took him out of context.
Yeah. The Bible takes itself out of context within the same book.
Yeah, if you
the
consider the
same chapter.
two authors, yeah. No,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but it's still but yeah, that is what happened. So thank you to those later commentators. Anyways, that is
The end of Ecclesiastes.
yes, and the end of the reading for today. Can't wait to jump into Song of Songs. I hear that one's
Song of Solomon.
we're gonna fight about this.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Let's
All
go.
right. Let's tussle. You want? Oh my God.
Well, if you enjoyed the stream today, like, subscribe, comment, and
Share it
everything.
around and all that good stuff. You know what to do. Let's see what else we got. We have a Patreon. If you like what we do, you can go on Patreon. Link is in the description. You could help support us. You could, get our scripts. You could be on the show. You could win T-shirts at the start of the month. All that stuff.
Yep. And if you just want T-shirts, we got a Teespring.
Yes, we do. Link is also in the description for just the Teespring.
But moreover, we have an Amazon wish list full of books.
And
Yes.
if you want to see more books on the table or get us some research material that we need for our upcoming projects, then feel free and check that list out. We really appreciate all the help we've received so far from
Yes,
that.
seriously.
Yep. And speaking of feeling free, it's free to follow us on social media. Links in
Facebook.
the description.
Facebook and Twitter. We post stuff there sometimes. We got that going
And
for
we're
us.
now up to about $60, thanks to Ellis.
Yes, thank you, Ellis.
Towards our next 666 donation
Yeah, we
drive.
still need to do
E-meter, get us some readings, find out who's clear, and then make us all clear.
Yeah, we still got to do the whole alchemy thing.
Yep. That'll happen eventually.
I will. We promise.
I hope
got
we
it.
don't poison ourselves.
We might.
We might.
And on that note, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you on Friday.